Hello, I'm Dan Arms, and I am your student's math teacher. Just a few things about me is I've been at this school 22 years. I teach this year honors geometry and AP calculus, and we're just going to run through a few things of what your student is going to see in a class every day. So first, what I'd like to do is just kind of go through the syllabus, and I'll use it on a program called Kami. And what that does, what we get is, this is just a PDF annotator. So what I can do is I can kind of write on this. It's a good way for me to give notes. If we have pictures in class, I can go through and annotate those pictures. I can take screenshots of the textbook and then annotate pictures on there. Or I can even go through and draw different things. For instance, if I want to draw some shapes, I could do that and then go through the idea of what we talked about last week, like vertical angles, and just see in the picture how things relate to each other. So this is one of the programs that your kids will definitely see throughout the year as we go through and give notes. Another thing on here is the syllabus. So if I'm looking at the syllabus, this is the course that we're going to be in right here, boom, Geometry Honors. And here are some ways to get a hold of me throughout the year. The biggest one is definitely email. I check that every day. I do have a Google Voice phone number through school, so this is a way to text me if you want. And you could also go the old school phone number and leave me a voicemail here. I do get them all in my email, so that is another thing that we can do as far as setting ways to get a hold of me. Then it comes into the idea of when can your kids get help, and we do have through remote this time slot of 2:15 to 3:15, in which every day besides Monday is a time for kids to get help. Next up is materials needed. Graphing calculator is useful. If you don't have one now, it's not necessary to run out and get one, but this is one that they'll be using next year when they get into AAT and pre-calc and finally calc. So that is going to be definitely used throughout high school. They were given a textbook this year, just because we no longer have online access to it. That kind of ended, but we do have a textbook where we will frequently assign some questions out of there. And mainly this class is going to be supplemented by a lot of worksheets where kids can pull up on Kami and then write on there and submit them if necessary, or just gives them an option to write on their Chromebook instead of having to print them up and then work on them. Printing them up is always an option, but this is just something that they can do. Going through, this course is, again, Honors Geo. So we're going to get through deductive proofs this year, coordinate and analytical geometry, and other topics found in the regular geometry course, but in greater depth. And the biggest one is at a faster pace. We're also going to get into the idea of trigonometry, which is right angle trig, and if you remember your high school days, that is going to be some SOHCAHTOA action. As far as grading for this class goes, it is going to be all lumped into total points. So everything is going to be tests, quizzes, projects. Delta Math is going to be 100 points. Tests are going to be out of 100 points each. Quizzes are going to be roughly 20 to 30 points, maybe a little more, a little less, depending on the quiz. And same with projects, we'll go 20 to 30 points on projects as well. Delta Math, each of these are going to be 10 points. Now, Delta Math is an online practice tool that kids are going to be using throughout the year. So that is another thing that they'll be seeing. So the next thing I'll show you is Schoology after going through the syllabus. But Schoology is where they're going to get all notes, assignments, videos, and they'll be on the Schoology page. So Schoology is definitely a place where they're going to need to go to every day in order to see what is due, what is coming up, and also where the notes are, and if they missed anything, where the video notes are. I'll be recording the Zooms and putting them in there. I'll show you that in a sec. We have right here the syllabus that we just went through. These are Zoom notes where kids can, if they miss a class or if they need to go over some things, they can definitely check out the Zoom notes through Kami. And the biggest thing is every week is laid out right here. So the week that we're in now is week 4. And in here we can see a few things. We can see an agenda. These are some in-class things I'm going to do. These are some videos for kids to watch, transformation packet. And there's also going to be a test, okay, that they're going to take on Mastery Manager. So this right here is going to be the agenda, and it's a Google Doc that I share with the kids. It is a live document, so I can go through and change things. But here is the agenda for the week. Just talking about Monday, of course, there was no school. Tuesday, Wednesday, this should say transformation, so I'm glad I checked it out. Chapter 1, test and work on transformations packet. So that's basically what's going on this week. We also get into what we're going to do in class. It talks about chapter 1 review. You can read through that what the kids are going to do, what is due, and then the resources they can use. There's going to be a transformation video this week, as well as a chapter 1 test that is going to be on a program called Mastery Manager. So this is going to be all laid out in the agenda. I also throw in the Zoom link for the week. There is the schedule that the kids should now be aware of and used to. And then it just talks about what's going to happen next week. So all of these things are going to be items that pop up for the week. We have an agenda for every week, and it talks about when they're going to have quizzes, tests, what worksheets we're going to work them, and kind of go through that idea. Now, all of this is laid out, and then it's also back in Schoology, where if I want to go through and let's say I check out week 3, angle pairs right here, and then there are some worksheets here. Now, worksheets, homework, I don't collect. It is practice for the kids to be successful in class. Kids can really choose and do as much or as little as they want to, because the goal is not to just do homework for homework's sake, but to do enough practice so you can actually be successful in the class. Some kids will have to do more, other kids will have to do less. I do put all the answers online for them to see, but these are just ideas for them to work on throughout the course. So if I take a look at, here's one of the worksheets that we assigned, and going through, kids could open this up in Kami, and I can show you that if I want to open with Kami. And then the nice thing about Kami and the Chromebooks that they use is they can actually use their stylus to go through and answer these questions, and then figure out what angle ABE is. So that is this angle. That's 37 and 28, so that's going to be 65 degrees. So it's a nice way for kids to actually work on the assignment without having to print it up. Now, it is something they're going to have to get used to, writing with a stylus on the screen, but overall it's not too bad. A lot of kids have said that it works out pretty well. Some kids still want to do the work on paper, but now at least you have the option of doing either on the Chromebook or doing it on paper. So these are just some of the things that I wanted to show what your kids are going to be using throughout the year, as well as just with the worksheets. We do put up a key so kids can have instant gratification and see if they are correct or incorrect when doing some of their work. And these are all just things that are worked out for them, and we can talk about it in class. So class, we basically go through, see if there's any questions. We work on some questions in class, and then we open up and prepare for the assessments. Like this week, we have an assessment on Thursday and Friday. Just kind of getting ready for all of those things. And that is pretty much all that your kids are going to see. This is an honors class, so it does go a little bit faster. It requires those algebra skills to be readily available and practiced on. There are resources for kids to practice those algebra material, as well as resources for the new material that we're going through.